Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some iconic sounds from the 2010s, from the EDM scene, and the best part is a bunch of these sounds will be available on my upcoming preset pack called 2010 EDM. It will be made available absolutely free at synthdesigner.com. No signups required, no strings attached. If you're a fan of these presets, please consider shooting me a donation, or you could join my Patreon page for a couple dollars a month, where I give early access to these preset packs for Serum and some exclusive stuff as well. Now today I'm going to show you a few iconic sounds from Calvin Harris, Ed Sheeran, Tiesto style, and then also some Avicii. Now, the Avicii will not be part of this preset pack because it requires a lot of layers, but I thought I'd show you how to create the famous levels sound, or at least an approximation, all using Serum. But let's get started with Calvin Harris here with Slide. So it sounds a bit like this. So, of course, that is that famous lead sound there. Now, it's pretty simple to create. It relies on a couple of basic wave shapes, a triangle and a saw here, and then a sub with a square. So, as you can see here, there's not too much going on in terms of envelope and LFO, and then there's some noise as well. The noise is pretty crucial as well. It's really at the forefront. The sub bass. It's not really a sub bass, it's just adding a third, essentially a third wave shape here, and then the triangle. That saw really adds that upper harmonic content and that kind of buzziness to it. They're both reliant here on a few voices of unison to give that width. The cutoff is a MG low 18, so it cuts off some of that really high information, and it has a bit of resonance as well. There is some distortion here, very simple stomp box distortion here, so it's not your typical like tube or soft clip. As you can hear, it's not super high in the mix, but does add a little bit of that information, that extra kind of distorted information, if you will. There's a little bit of chorus, not too much, and then a little bit of reverb. So it's not too complicated of a sound here, but a really iconic one. This next sound you may remember from the late 2010s from Ed Sheeran's Shape of You. It's a pretty close approximation. I don't exactly know which synthesizer used, but this is as close as I could get. I found that his sound has a little bit more of a click. I couldn't quite get that click right, but let's just take a look at it. Very simply, it's a sine wave here and another sine wave in the sub. This is adding just a little bit more depth to it. This noise here is adding a little bit of that information. Just a little bit, and then we have this other percussive element that's creating more noise. So the way to create a little bit of extra noise here isn't necessarily always to use the noise, because if you listen without the noise oscillator here, or sorry, the noise sampler here, you can hear it still has a bit of that click, and that is created by taking a very short envelope here, so envelope 2, and then you are going to add it to your matrix and then go to your master tune here and then create that. So it's pretty simple. You're going to add it not too high in the mix, because if you start adding it too high, As you can see, the output is also a little bit low. So that's a simple way of creating kind of like a percussive element through your envelopes. Envelope 1 is simply attached to the cutoff filter here and then opening up through a kind of a zero sustain and short kind of plucky delay or decay, sorry. This next sound is a popular sound from all sorts of 2010 EDM songs, but Tiesto used this one in some of his songs. I don't exactly remember which ones off the top of my head, but just listening to it, I think you'll recognize it. I think it's a pretty ubiquitous sound in all sorts of 2010s, kind of much more intense and early 2010s, right? And the way to create this is based on very simple wave shapes. Again, we're looking at a saw wave here and a square wave with some voices of unison. And the way to keep that kind of bigger sound is to create a lot more detunement. So you can see here it's quite high in both of them. I've emphasized a little bit more of the saw wave with a little bit higher level and then more detunement. The one envelope at work here is this plucky one. We don't want this fully sustained, and then I cut off a tiny bit of the top, but not much. The EQ here is taking care of the lows, because if we didn't, you could hear that some of that lower information comes through, and we don't want that. The other major part of this is the compressor. It's on a multi-band function. Nice to have a multi-band compressor through Serum itself, and that really creates some of that grit. And of course, you could use OTT if you're not using Serum. And then we're adding some chorus for even more width, and then some basic delay and reverb. So this was just a very kind of well-known lead sound that really kind of pops through a lot of different tracks throughout the 2010s. It's really meant to be kind of that gritty sound. You could layer it with others. It's all over the place. Now this last sound I think you'll recognize instantly. It's from Avicii's Levels. This does not come from my preset packs, but I'm going to show you kind of the layers that go into it to create the sound. And I hope you like the results here. So I know it's not an exact recreation. I've been kind of told off by a few people here and there, but I can't recreate the exact same sound he used. I believe he used Nexus, but I kind of want to get the kind of idea behind this more than anything, not just a basic preset. So let's just take a look at all the layers here, starting with layer 1. This is all through Serum other than the piano. The piano, you could use anything. I use Keyscape, but don't worry about that. We're not going to get into that. Just use any old piano that sounds kind of dancey. So number 1, very simply, all these are on an in-app preset, so like I just kind of came up with them. This is a saw wave here, a couple saw waves, adding width through the fine knobs here, adding them, one going up and one going down. That kind of creates separation, but they are up the middle here. The other thing is this filter cutoff. So you can hear it's got a lot of distortion, and that's created through Isotope Trash 2. This plugin really gives a ton of different options. Without it, completely different sound. Of course, those lows are cut off as well. Within Serum itself, just a little bit of reverb and EQ, but most of the reverb is through a reverb bus. So that's most of what is coming through here. Lead number 2, again, taking a look here. The same thing, but an octave higher, so we don't need to get into it. Very simple here. Lead number 3, this time 2 square waves. And again, this one's actually marked lead number 2, but either way. Again, isotope trash on it. Lead number 4 here. A lot more mellow. And as you can see, this one is through 2 square waves, again with up an octave. You can see the envelopes on all these. These are all kind of plucky sounds, not fully plucky. The other thing is, I should mention all of these are got that pluckiness through the envelope, opening up the filter. So all of these together here. Next we have that piano. Then we have this synthesizer, which is a nice kind of wide synthesizer. I'm gonna not make it quite as wide, but let's just listen to this pattern here, which is number 6. Just the biggest superstar you can possibly have here. I took some of the delay and reverb off here. The EQ here is boosting even more of those highs. Synth number 2 on its own. Much lower. A little bit isotope trash too, and it's got a little bit of that distortion, but it's cutting off some of those highs, allowing that first synthesizer to be kind of up front more. This is actually from Splice, I believe, and very simple here. Again, cutting off some of those lows, giving a little boost to the highs, but that MG low 24 really cuts off some of those highs. So if we were just to take a look at these 3 together, the synths and the piano. Then we have this very simple sound, giving it a little bit of that upper kind of harmonics, just basic white noise here. This is pattern 7, same exact pattern, but as you can see here, it's just white noise through this band pass with a lot of resonance here. You can see everything here is connected to the reverb, which I'm just using FabFilter Pro R. Very simple here. And then we have the sub and the bass. They come in with the drums, pattern 11 here. I got this again from Splice. This kind of unique sound here. As you can see, it's relying on some interesting wave shapes here with some sub, and then the dedicated sub as well, pattern 12. Very simple here. If we were just to play these sections here with just the sub and the bass. Very simple pattern. Now putting it all back together, kind of sounds like this. So as you can hear, it really adds up once you start layering things, and Avicii was the master. And they're really based on a lot of simple kind of patterns here. There's a little bit of complicatedness with the basses, but everything else super simple kind of patterns, and it's all about the layering. I've actually included a few kind of cool Avicii style sounds in this as well, so you could kind of start on your own journey towards creating Avicii types of sounds, Avicii types of leads. There's a few different ones in this 2010 EDM pack. Again, it's coming out really soon. Go to synthdesigner.com. You can sign up to get notification when it does come out. And of course, join my Patreon page if you like these types of presets. I give out a whole bunch every month for only a couple of dollars. Really helps me out. Of course, my goal is to make all of these presets free for everybody. If you can't afford them, if you can, you can, shoot me a donation and help me out. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see more of these types of EDM types of style sound design videos. I'm always willing to listen to the community to see what they like and what they don't like. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.